Hello everybody, you can call me Hunch, and today I'm going to give you a quick video on why I think Stacks is actually doing a better job at executing smart contracts than Ethereum, and why I think the Ethereum people are really misguiding or providing false advertising about their chain and why it's better than Bitcoin. So let me go back to the beginning. Vitalik was a part of the Bitcoin community, right? And he broke off from the Bitcoin community because he believed that the base layer cryptocurrency should have smart contract capability, which is basically a more complex scripting system than Bitcoin currently has, or contract system. So let's move on from that. He broke off from Bitcoin and he said, this needs to have smart contracts, right? And why does it need to have smart contracts? Because money is a contract between two individuals. For example, when you go to buy a house from somebody, two people enter that contract deal, right? For example, when I provide you the money, there's an intermediary between us, right? That says, Joey is providing you with the money, you must provide him with the deed, right? There's a contract. There's a contract when I buy groceries. I'm handing you the money, you're handing me the groceries, right? I'm giving you something and you're under contract now to provide me what I'm paying you for, right? And this works with the service industry and everything. So now let's go to some of the previous videos I've talked about. I wanted to get to the bottom of why Bitcoin didn't add this functionality to its base layer, right? If every transaction has a contract to it, why would Bitcoin not add smart contracts or more complex scripting, as computer scientists would call it, to its base layer? And I got to the bottom of this by asking really smart people in the industry about this problem. And basically it boils down to a computer science problem. And here's the problem. The more complex the system in computer science, the less secure. So this is a trade-off. And now you could see this in a situation where a million or billion smart contracts are executing at the same time on the Ethereum chain. There is going to be more opportunity to exploit something or some contract along that chain, right? Or along those transactions, right? It's bound to happen. And you can see this in DeFi hacks all over the Ethereum DeFi network, right? And I'm sure other chains. And then at the beginning of Ethereum, they actually changed the chain because something got hacked and the people who controlled the network were not going to have it, right? And I think that's where Ethereum Classic comes from, right? Code is law, they go by. And that is basically what Bitcoiners argued to Vitalik, if I'm recollecting my history of the Bitcoin blockchain correctly, when he split off. They said, no, it's a compromise, right? And then you had the block size wars with Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin, where Bitcoiners said, no, you compromise decentralization, you compromise security. So this is one of those issues. So to explain this further, let me dive on in to explain this. Trevor.btc is a community manager for Stacks. Stacks is the blockchain that does smart contracts on top of or next to the Bitcoin blockchain. And he said Bitcoin main chain isn't for users. It's for chains. What does this mean? He's saying that this is a settlement layer, right? And Ethereum people have recently started to take on that same marketing gig, right? Ethereum is the settlement layer of the world, right? Which is what Bitcoiners have been saying for a while. And Cathie Wood, let me remind you, says the same thing. Bitcoin is a settlement layer, right? It's a rules-based system. Anyway, you can read the rest. But then he took this from an Ethereum guy, and he has 141,000 followers, so you know he's a real Ethereum. I'm not just taking a random quote from Twitter, right? He's a member of the Bankless community. They're a real business, I believe. And he says that Ethereum main chain isn't for users. It's for chains, right? And to explain this, let me dive into my aggressive stance I take towards this person's tweet. You literally just steal everything from Bitcoin. It's so pathetic. Why add smart contracts then? You just proved Bitcoiners' point, right? So if the main chain is not for users, Why add smart contracts? Why not have it on a layer 2? For example, another example, Matic is a layer 2 smart contract platform. Loopring, which has been going off, is a layer 2 smart contract platform. Proof of stake chain, right? So these Ethereum people, on top of stealing sound money, they call it ultrasound money, which they made because they made it deflationary, because they changed the base layer tokenomics or monetary policy. They've stolen now that it is a settlement layer because they're saying other chains should just settle on Ethereum and Ethereum doesn't really need to do anything, right? So then they stole that. And if you just think about it for a while, you realize this is why Bitcoin maximalists, right, have come to the conclusion that every other chain is a scam, right? Because they're looking at it from a computer science problem. The more complex I make this chain, the less decentralized it becomes, aka can be exploited by people who own more, and the less secure it becomes. Now, I'm not saying that Ethereum is bad. I'm not saying that it's a different take on Bitcoin. All I'm saying is every time you read some type of marketing ploy by the Ethereum proponents, you find that their logic doesn't make any sense. Now, whether that makes me a Bitcoin maximalist, which I don't think I am, or not, it shows you that the Bitcoiners really tend to have it figured out, and why we should support the Bitcoin blockchain more so than any other chain, because of the truth in its layer, in its base layer, right? Its purity, its simpleness, right? The security. What does money need to be? It needs to be secure. You need to believe in it, right? When people start losing faith in the money, right, that it's being manipulated like the Fed, right? Then you have rampant inflation. You have the breakdown of society, right? Like you see in Turkey with the lira. And Bitcoiners are so passionate because they see this in the other chains. Now, I'm not saying Bitcoin needs to be the only chain. I'm only saying that Bitcoiners have really solved the computer science problem at the base layer and how money should work. And then all those other smart contracts that people are so in love with should be moved to the other chains, just like the Ethereum people are arguing for. The Ethereum people are breaking down their own argument for the Bitcoin blockchain. I hope this was helpful. I'm not trying to attack the Ethereum blockchain. I'm trying to educate as many people as I can. And I know everybody loves price targets and everybody loves all this hoopla hype. But the reality is society needs to be built on something stable and secure. And I think that's Bitcoin and maybe Stacks and the Lightning Network. Now let's dive into Stacks real quick. I don't see anything too complex here, anything too crazy, or anything too worrisome. But remember, I'm not a financial advisor. This breakdown right here is clear as day that that's because Bitcoin broke down, right? And there's a lot of fear in the market. But I see something a little positive. There's some higher lows. You know, I don't think it really means anything, but it could. It's held up pretty well for what happened to Bitcoin. I hope some people take from this something educational. I'm not trying to be a Bitcoin maximalist. It's just that logic continues to take me down this road, right? By studying and learning, and I'm trying to prove myself wrong. But it's really, really hard. And I implore you to do the same, because this is serious. People's lives depend on Bitcoin now, right? People in these countries where inflation is rampant, they depend on this. So I implore you, please, please don't just buy Ethereum because you love Bored Apes. Please don't just do it because you love the metaverse. Get into crypto because you want to see people's lives get better, and you'll make a fortune. I promise you that. I'm not a financial advisor. You can call me Hunch.